Alright guys, welcome. Today I'm going to be rating all of the habits which actually took me from 0 to 10 and even 20k plus a month. And although these may have taken me a few years to understand and start practicing on a daily basis, so at this point it's more like subconsciously I've created these systems which have benefited me to reach these numbers, okay? So it's going to be a very transparent, very educational video so that you guys can understand the importance of them. And we're going to be putting them on a tier list. So S tier is going to be the top priority of things which you need to add to your life or put more energy into them. And then F tier is going to be things which does not require as much effort, okay? So we're going to start off with something which everyone does, but perhaps you may be doing it not efficiently or you're not doing it as effectively as you should. So what do I mean by listening to music in terms of productivity? So instead of listening to all this, mainstream music, I actually found what works for me. So the trick is find something that provokes some sort of emotion from you that will help you to work, to either reduce your stress, cut off all the distractions, and so on. So music is a very powerful tool, and especially if you live in a busy city, music is definitely something which will help you to cut off the noise and focus on what you are trying to build. All right, and next on the list is comfort zone. And this is definitely one of the most important things you need to understand, because a lot of people misunderstand comfort zone. They think that only rich people or wealthy people are the ones which find themselves in this comfort zone, but actually, literally every single person who is just surviving and just moving on with life is technically in comfort zone, because whenever you're not in your comfort zone is when you literally hate your life and you just want to improve it. Like you start having this urgency mode where you just need to put in either different actions to yield different outcomes. And this is a very important topic right here, because oftentimes people wait for their downfalls in life for them to get out of their comfort zone, and that's where they build their best version of themselves after they fail. So what you could do is, if you are finding yourself in your comfort zone, try to rewire your brain to already do things which are unusual to you. Okay, so let's say your usual routine is studying or going to work or something, and then going back home and then gaming and then sleeping. Okay, so that's what I would call comfort zone. Being out of the comfort zone is sacrificing either your sleep time or your gaming time to do something different. In this case, e-commerce. So this is definitely going to be an S tier. And next point is going to be, you must have seen this, the mining. This has become a meme, but it has a very true meaning to it, because I can relate to this. Last year when I chose my winning product, which is now a winner, back then was not looking like a winner, I was literally just mining or putting the work every single day and not seeing any results. But the metaphor for the diamonds on the right side is actually the proven concept. So if you pick a product which has a proven concept, so in other words, you've seen other people do well with it, okay, so whether they've made 100k plus with it, or there's a brand which is running the product for 1, 2, or even 5 years. Trust me, there's a lot of products which has been on for 3 years and plus. So that's what I mean by the diamond, okay? That's the metaphor for diamond, the proven concept. So all you have to do now is mine. Put in the work, because eventually it's going to pay off, because others are doing well with it. So this was exactly how I looked at it last year. And we're going to get into the next point, which is ignoring others, because it's very related to this. When you're mining and not seeing any results for a long period of time, a lot of people will doubt you. Even your mind is going to doubt you. So if you have any sort of proven concept or faith in your product or in whatever you're doing, then never stop. Okay, so this is definitely in the S tier. I told you it's going to be a very tough tier list, because pretty much everything's important here, but these two are probably the most important. Next is going to be ignoring others. And trust me when I say even people who you think are better than you, who are giving you advice, they oftentimes may be wrong. Okay, that's why you need to be very subjective and very selective with who you listen to. I think that's the main reason why people say don't share your goals. It's not because if you share your goals, it won't happen. It's actually the other way around. I would argue if you share your goals to the public, then you are putting yourself accountable that, now you have to make it work, otherwise you will embarrass yourself or whatever the downside of it is. So actually being accountable for your word and meaning what you say and saying what you mean is actually the most powerful thing you can do. But the problem here with ignoring others is that when you have big goals, okay, whether you say it or not to others, someone out there, and sometimes it might be from your inner circle, so from your closest friends, from your family members, from your mentors. I have a personal experience with my 1 year and a half ago. I had a mentor, and I have a lot of respect for him. But this mentor was actually for an affiliate program, and I was early on this product, which again doesn't look like a winner, but there's people out there who are printing with it, 7 figures. So I ran it back then, and even though I'm going viral, he would be surprised I'm getting sales from it because he always said, dump it. So because back then the norm was to run pump and dump, but I had this. Maybe it's good for me that I was very stubborn that I really want to build a brand. I don't want to just get the shiny object syndrome and switch from one product to another. So ignoring others, including my friends who I knew were better than me at the time, got me to where I am today. So I learned a big lesson out of this. So it's not just people who you don't want to be like, but also people who may have done better than you. You want to make sure that you don't just take it like as a yes or no. Be subjective to things. If they give you their opinion, take it, okay, but then dissect it. See what actually do I gain out of their opinion. If it's negative, cut it off, literally, because there's two things, right? You cannot always. This is your mind. You cannot always avoid or block the stimulus from your surrounding, right? Like every now and then you're gonna get some sort of negative energy. So the best thing you can do is actually just deflect it. So when it comes, it comes from here, it goes out from there. You just don't take it in, don't digest it. So that's the best way to look at it, and this is how you preserve your energy. It's really important. So ignoring others has to be in the A tier. And you don't want to be emotional about it. It could be from your closest people. You need to make sure that you trust yourself more than others. All right, next is consistency. And this is the building block to anything in life that is of value. So literally, even if you had the most knowledge in the world, if you don't build these block by block every single day, it won't actually become an empire. So what does this mean when it comes to e-com in general, in particular? Well, the crazy part is when I first started looking into side hustles and the shiny object syndrome 4 years ago, I would research about e-com today, and then I would feel so like my dopamine would rise to the point where I'm like proud of myself for doing something out of the norm. And then I would remember that for the next 3 or even 7 days, I would just go back to my usual thing, wasting time, just like my circle. And then I get another wave of dopamine or motivation where I want to do this new thing again. So I'd look for new products, and then again I cut it off. So the problem here is I was very inconsistent, and this is the problem with probably 99% of people who are ambitious but they don't actually make it. Why? Because they would get ambitious today or motivated today, they look into this new thing, and then the next day they get back to their normal life. No, you actually need to do it every single day. And whenever you set goals, you're better off setting goals for today than the week. Trust me. You would be surprised how many things you can do in a day compared to a week or a month. You don't even know if you're going to be, you don't even know what's happening tomorrow. So better off just focus on today, and more importantly on things you can control. That way you're going to have more control and energy to spend on things you can influence. So this is the building block to success. So this has to be S tier. Next, this is what some people like to call manifestation, law of attraction, and so on. And this is, in my opinion, very true, because just like negative energy can drag you down, positive energy can pull you up. But the problem is there's a big, there's a twist to it. So even if you are the most positive person, okay, if this is a person in bed right now, you cannot just, you know, drag them off the bed and tell them to work hard if they are themselves not determined and ambitious to put in the work. They won't actually make it. So you cannot actually drag someone who doesn't want to put the work off the bed to do the work. But the opposite is true. So if there's someone who has this ambition to climb the mountain, right, and he's here climbing the mountain, negative people could actually drag him down. And that's the biggest difference between pulling someone up and dragging someone down. And you need to understand this. That's why I keep on mentioning positive and negative energy. You need to preserve your energy, block the negative energy, and attract positive things into your life. And I'm going to give another note to this because this is a big, big topic. One thing which you need to focus on is you. Like when you start developing yourself, so physically, mentally, spiritually, something about the universe, I don't know what it is, but you literally start. I'll tell you what happens. You just go through life, okay, avoiding or not looking at the wrong things. So if you are, looking at the right things, this is a room. I'm giving a lot of like psychological things which I learned over the years, but this is so true, guys. So this is a room of random objects, okay, and everything here is black and white except for one thing which is red. And this red thing is the only thing which is actually positive. Okay, everything else is negative. So if you are running through life, this is the highway. You are walking through this highway through life, and you are only attracting positive things, or in other words, you are blocking negative energy. You're only looking at the goals you have, the positive things, and working on yourself. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna walk through this highway, blocking all of these, so you wouldn't look at any of these. And then once you see this opportunity, this positive energy, whether it's a person, it's a connection, whether it's a opportunity, whether it's whatever something positive it is that's gonna change your life, you're gonna spot it, and you're gonna feel like you're ready to acquire this, or take on this new level of life, because you have been positive, you've been working hard on yourself, and all of the other positive things which you have been putting on yourself. So you're gonna actually acquire, or attract this positive thing, and then carry on with life. And that's what the best way for me to describe what law of attraction is. So this is really important, and this is probably why people actually like believe in it, because it makes you just be selective with what you want in life. So you avoid all the negative energy, you do the right things every single day, long enough till you actually acquire what you want. That's how you acquire, your supercars or whatever dreams you have. So this is gonna be in A tier. I'm actually gonna be fair. It has to be an A tier. Like everything here is really important. I wanna put it as B, but I have not seen a successful person who is super negative. They're always abundant, they're always positive, and yeah, it has to be an A tier. Next on the list is hitting the gym. Now, hitting the gym is more than just looking physically attractive. It's actually more than that. When you want to climb this mountain, which we drew here, the higher you climb this mountain, the more the pressure is to go downward, whether it's from people around you, whether it's from obstacles, whatever it was. It's just how it is. That's how life is. So what is this pressure? In other words, it's stress. So there's ways for you to deal with the stress so that you can take better decisions and actually take action and fight back this stress. And the best way to do that is through, well, it's actually not the best way, because there's another thing which I'm about to talk about, but in my opinion, it's one of the best ways to climb this mountain of stress in life, which is hitting the gym, because not only will it lower your cortisol, it's also going to increase your endorphins, which is going to make you look or feel happy, and you're going to start loving yourself. So literally, it's going to make you overall a more attractive person, because you're going to love yourself. So that means you're going to probably have a better vision of life and attract better things. So once again, really important. I'm gonna put this in B tier because I know people who are actually successful who don't hit the gym, so perhaps they have a better way to, or a more convenient way for them to deal with stress. But as although it's not mandatory, it will actually make you have a easier time to actually acquire good things in life, because it's all about attraction, like not just physically but also literally mentally. Like gym actually makes you an attractive person from the outside and the inside, because it builds discipline as well. So these are so far. Next is gonna be spending. This is related to law of abundance. So you don't want to be afraid of spending, especially when it's investing. So what I mean by spending is not just, throwing your money on random stuff. No, always prioritize yourself and your business. So the moment you start making money, try to invest it back into your setup, into your props, your samples, your products. Maybe test new variants, create custom products, do a hybrid approach of paid ads and organic and so on. So never be afraid of spending money, especially when it actually has a compounding effect on your business. So whatever is gonna push you forward, do it. So this is gonna be B or D. I'm trying to be fair with this tier list because it's actually tough. We're gonna put it at D. Alright, next point is being delusional, because this is something which not many people talk about nowadays. It's like something which you kind of know because people like just know it, but there's actually a reason why people say this. So this actually is something which I did not do properly when I was, getting up and trying to find my first winner. And I actually look back at it and I wish I did it. So I'm about to share this. What this really means is when you are trying to find your first winner, or you're trying to, get your first 10K a month, or even 20K, 50K, 100K a month, instead of feeling terrible, the worst way of living your life is actually determining how you should feel based off how much you make. Trust me, because I don't really feel much different from now to the times where I had no winner. It's the same person, but the only difference is now I know that what I've always worked towards actually worked. So it gives me this feeling of proud. I'm proud that I actually didn't quit. But apart from that, what if I told you you could actually think this way before you even acquire your first winner or your first goal? And that's the trick. This is the thing which I wish I did when I first started, which is putting myself in the shoes of the person who is me, who has already acquired these things. Because what is gonna happen is eventually, instantly actually, the moment you put yourself in the person's shoes who has already done these things, you're gonna start acting, talking, walking, and even taking decisions the same way as that person. And that's the trick. You see, the problem is when you are making, and this is something which I have dealt with for a very long time, okay? It's something which everyone deals with. If you are making $0 today, and then next day you make $100, and then next day is 500, and so on, and then here's a catch: you make 500 here, and then next day you make 0. Here you were feeling neutral because you've never hit something above $0. Here your dopamine is going to be really high. Here it's going to be the highest. But then here, since you have acquired this achievement of hitting not 100 but $500, and then you go down to $0, that's when you feel so terrible and you just want to quit. This is the problem. You need to put yourself, first of all, you need to be stoic, okay? And the moment you start from 0, you actually need to put yourself in the shoes of this person who made 500. Because trust me, when you made this 500, and this is a metaphor, you could be making 5,000, whatever it was, The moment you make that 500, trust me, you're going to be putting way more effort and energy into whatever has worked for you. So whatever you're creating, you're going to double down on it. Whether you're posting 3 times a day, you're going to make it 6 times a day, and so on. So remember these times when you were printing, okay? This is if you have ever made that much money. Even if you haven't, here's the catch. Even if you haven't, you need to put yourself in the shoes of that person who would, and act that way, okay? So the moment you start from zero, act as if you are already making these numbers, and put in the work that that person would put to acquire these numbers. So this is really important, and it took me a very long time to understand, because you kind of learn it on the way, because you keep on like getting good numbers and bad numbers and good numbers. At one point you're like, I'm sick of this roller coaster of emotions. Rather have a stoic mindset where you're just confident enough that you're gonna always pull up good numbers, and put in the same amount of work regardless of what you make that day. That's a trick. I promise you guys. So this is gonna be, since it was not something which I have, religiously done, so I didn't do it every single day. It's definitely up here, so it's either S or A. It's something which you need to understand, but some people don't really. It will make your journey easier. I'll say it this way, okay? It's something that's not mandatory, but will make you have a way easier time, and you're just gonna approach life in a more confident way, which is gonna attract good things. Next is faith. Since we are talking about believing in ourselves and belief in general, faith has a lot of perks, okay? So doesn't matter, like, I'm not talking about a particular religion. Doesn't matter which religion you believe in, as long as you believe in something, is gonna bring a lot of benefits to your life. So first of all, you're gonna know deep down that you're a good person if you're actually not sinning. So that is gonna make you a more positive person. Next thing, you're gonna be dealing with stress in a more efficient way, which is really important. The higher you rise through the ladder, the more you're gonna need faith, trust me. And thirdly, you will just be a more powerful person because you are more disciplined, and you start seeing the things like how, everything is filled with dopamine, and, these selective ways of grabbing your attention. So nowadays, every single thing has some sort of psychological factor to it to acquire your attention, whether it's lust, whether it's so on. So with faith, you could actually just battle these things and focus on what you really want. So you would just block all the fake dopamine and focus on your goals. So this is actually going to be in the S tier. Really important. And the earlier you stop being a lukewarm and you actually like all in on your faith, is actually going to make your life better. And the final point is networking, but not any sort of networking is actually through Discord, because as ironic as it sounds, Discord is actually a place where all sort of people meet. So whether it's gaming, having fun, or even, in this particular case, e-commerce. Now, why do I say Discord in particular? Is because I've noticed that all of these successful e-com guys are actually on Discord, and they're way more active on Discord than any other platform in terms of networking. So someone who's been to networks in Dubai, for example, I have yet to see a single organic dropshipper. I've only seen one paid ads guy, but yeah, that was it from like 5 events. So Discord is by far the best way to network, and for that reason, try to join as many communities. And one tip, guys, when it comes to networking, your name is everything. So your reputation is actually one of the things which is gonna either make your journey or break it. And the reason I bring this up is because every single, niche I've entered, so whether it's in my streaming days and now with, ecom, I've always seen the negative parts of these communities, and you wanna try to avoid them because, yeah, everything has a negative part to it. So might as well, be the purest person, like be the light that shines every room. And what do I mean by this? Help others and just, you don't need to be a negative person, because a lot of people out there are actually like that. So try to find the right networks, try to find, positive people who are going to push you forward, are going to keep you accountable, win together, and so on. For that reason, I have my Discord. I literally was sick of joining other Discords and seeing all the different types of negative people. So I'd rather build a good community and share free sauce with you guys. So yeah, that's it for today. I'm gonna probably rate this the networking as, I mean, it's not gonna make you successful. It will push you, but for someone like me, I did not really meet a lot of good people who actually like gave free sauce on the way. So I'm gonna put this D or E. Since nothing was E, we're gonna put this as E. So yeah, actually maybe we should put it D as Discord. There you go, guys. So that's it for today. I know this was a very competitive tier list, but these are probably like, this is as transparent as it can get. These are the things which help me to build a brand and actually do something like productive and that actually works after running pump and dump for years. So if you guys have learned something, please subscribe, and my Discord is in the bio, which is completely free, and we have our affiliate program open as well. So if you'd like to work with me one-on-one for free, you get a cut as well and free mentorship, then hit me up there as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.